Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How is everybody tonight?
On tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Tales from the Abyss that we put up from Redlands, and then we're also going to be talking about an investigation we did in Victorville just recently, and we got a pretty fantastic picture in that investigation. And I think that's where we'll start, is with the Redlands one first that we just put up. Now, in that one, our cameraman Kevin got attacked, and he had two very pronounced scratches on his back. We didn't know whether it was a demonic thing, whether it was a malevolent spirit, or what had attacked him at first. And throughout the episode, we learned that it was a shadow person that actually attacked Kevin and gave him those scratches, at least according to the spirit box. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to throw over to Old Boy, and I want to get his side of that because these two investigations we're going to be talking about tonight happened in California with his team. So I want him to explain to the audience what went down and give us a lot more detail on that. So, Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
What happened at Redlands is we went to Redlands, California. I can't say the name because you can get in trouble for that. Because recently, another group, a paranormal group, went there. It wasn't supposed to be there at night and got caught, and so they locked the gates at night. And I'm not going to say any names because we went down there an hour later and we couldn't get in. That was like a couple weeks ago. So when we went to Redlands, it was about, I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago. And what happened is we had a lot of activity all night there. It's one of the most haunted cemeteries in Southern California. It's huge. It's a big cemetery. Like, I mean, when I say big, it goes for a long way. Huge. Well, we stop at this one area. We start having stuff. We start seeing footprints that made no sense. We took pictures of it, and the footprints you could see somebody had been walking, but they walk in circles. And they were long and some were small, and there was no one there. Because they had, they're watering everything. It was like I think it was like in July or end of July or August, beginning, one of the two. So it was like 3 months ago. But you start seeing we saw these footprints, and then we would talking to the Indigo app, and it was singing to us, and it never has done that before. So what we did is we went back to the van because we kept seeing things. So we went back to the van, and Kevin had said, all of a sudden his back was burning. It was burning on, so we look at it and he had these scratches on his back. So I recorded it, and it just happened out of nowhere. So we start asking, and it started talking to us, but other people started getting sick. We started feeling like things watching us. It got really intense to the point where our guy, JC, who's our medium, pulled out his cross. He's a Christian. He started seeing stuff, and things were attacking us, making people sick in our group. People were getting stomach aches. Just things you can just imagine. Because we had a pretty good team. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it was 8 or 9 of us, and at least 3 or 4 of them were getting attacked, and they didn't feel good. They felt sick. The one guy felt like he was going to throw up. He started he didn't throw up, but dry heaving. So we had a lot of weird stuff happen that night to us, and I wanted to go back, but again, somebody ruined it for us, like always, because everybody thinks they're on Ghost Adventures, and they want to break into places or go in there illegally. And I guess it was legal at the time because the gates were open, but I guess they were in there doing something they weren't supposed to, and they got kicked out. So they started locking up the gates. So hopefully I could talk to the owners, and we can go back to the one in Redlands. But because I know there's another one there too, but I can't say the name. But that's what pretty much happened. I mean, we had ghosts talking to us all night. We had things when we took pictures, you could see giant ghost in these, because they had a lot of weird looking trees, and you could see the pictures of these giant ghosts everywhere, or demons, or whatever you want to call it. We had things it looked like we were getting surrounded by these entities. It was really weird night, and it was just, the activity was just going. It was like a firework. That's all I have to really say about Redlands, James. Other than that, was crazy. I was standing there, and all of a sudden, Kevin's all, "Yeah, my back's burning," and I said, "Well, let me see your shirt." So I lifted up, and he had scratch marks on his back out of nowhere. We were all standing there. He didn't. I was watching. I was standing right next to him, so there was cameras everywhere. So he would have got caught faking this. So he didn't just scratch himself. So if somebody says something stupid like that, because there probably will be. He didn't. There was witnesses around, so we all saw what happened. And then people started getting sick. And like I said, this was one of the most activity I've ever seen, other than when we went to Victorville.
Well, from my point of view, I'll explain for the audience what happens on the investigations on the West Coast is Old Boy will take the team out and he will do the investigation there. Sometimes they call me on the phone and I participate that way and we communicate. Sometimes they don't. It all depends on what they're facing. So then after the investigation is over, they send me the footage. And then I go through the footage and I edit the footage up to get it up on the channel and everything to make the show. And what was strange about this footage was a couple different things. First of all, there was these weird audio anomalies that were taking place throughout the footage. But it wasn't anything that was uniform or any kind of pattern that I could really nail down and say, okay, that's what this is. There was points in this footage where the audio would completely drop out to where it sounded like they were talking from miles away. You could barely hear it. And then all of a sudden it would be fine again. And there were other stretches of this footage, and this happened when the attack took place and at other points where there was this very eerie and strange sounding low humming kind of sound. I don't even know how really to describe it. It was like a kind of sound, but it wasn't something that was a man-made kind of sound. It's hard to explain. If you watch the footage, it's up on the YouTube channel right now on youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That episode is up, so you can check it out. I just put it up the other day, so you can hear it for yourself. But I could not figure out what was making those audio anomalies. It was very weird. I'm not saying it was definitely supernatural because I don't know. There might be a completely rational explanation for why those sounds were on the tape. But the weird thing is it was different. There was different audio anomalies depending on the situation. And it wasn't uniform throughout all of the footage. I would think if it was a mechanical issue of some sort, a fault with the equipment or something like that, it would be pretty much uniform throughout. And it wasn't the case. It would go in and out and it would change to different things. Very, very strange. I've never had that happen on any footage that we had. So that was the first very, very weird thing about it. The second thing was the footprints that Old Boy was talking about. Now these footprints were very, very large. In the video, you see different team members putting their foot next to the footprints to show how big they are. And they're about twice the size of the majority of the team's feet, these footprints were. But they're not like a normal shape like you would have a tennis shoe or a boot on or something. This almost looks like some sort of gargoyle footprint or something weird like that. It's like a long, slender kind of footprint that doesn't look human at all. It's very, very strange. And at first we thought maybe it was just some kind of weird water spot. But as they kept investigating and shining the lights around, you saw that there was a lot of these prints. And they kind of led away from that area to another area. So it was a very, very cool thing, but it was a very strange thing too. I've never been to a place that had footprints like that. Usually when you see footprints, they're impressions in the ground. Where something has walked and has actually depressed the earth down, and it's a footprint, like you're used to seeing a footprint. Like if you would step out in the mud, the print that you would leave, that kind of footprint is what we're used to seeing at places, something physical. This was basically a water spot in the shape of a footprint. So it's like if you ever been to the pool and you get out of the pool and you run across the concrete at the pool and those water spots in the shape of your foot that are left, that's kind of what it reminded me of. But it wasn't in the shape of a human foot. It was this gigantic strange looking footprint, almost like a goblin or a troll kind of print, something like that. It looked very, very weird. And once again, those footprints are on the episode. You can see them for yourself. So that was the second thing that was weird about it. Now, when they go out on these things, they're there for multiple hours, and there's a lot of footage to go through. Usually, I cut that down to about an hour episode. In this case, this episode is about a half hour long because there was so much of the footage that was literally just unusable because either the audio dropped out completely or that weird wom wom sound I was talking about got to be so loud in parts that you couldn't even hear them talk anymore. So I just had to scrap that footage, which was sad because there was some footage that got scrapped that was actually pretty good footage that I didn't really want to get rid of, but there wasn't much of a choice because the audio was just so bad on those clips. But you do get the attack in the episode, you get the footprints in the episode, and you get some pretty interesting spirit box work in the episode where the entities claim that what attacked Kevin was a shadow person, which is very, very interesting. Now, that also corresponds to the next investigation we're going to be talking about that they did at Victorville. Because at the latest Victorville investigation, they captured a picture of what looks like the Phantom Hat Man. And that ties in with the shadow people as well. The pictures from the original Redlands investigation that we just did the episode, put it up on the channel, that one we're talking about, we have the picture that was taken at the moment of the attack of Kevin's back. So in the video you will see him get attacked. He kind of mentions it. Old boy tells him to lift his shirt and look. They look on the camera. On the night vision you can't really see much. You see Jackie, who's our photographer, take a picture of his back. Now that picture that she took at that moment, I put in the video so that you can actually see the picture that was taken of his back with the scratch marks. So we have that picture in the episode. Also, I put a picture in the episode of some full body apparitions that appeared over top of gravestones while they were there, which was a fantastic image. I put that in the episode as well so that you can see that. He also touched on that when he was explaining it. So those photographs are in the episode. That episode is, as we speak right now, up on the YouTube channel. So please go check it out and see it for yourself. I apologize in advance for the audio on it. The audio is good as far as them talking and stuff. You can hear everything that's going on. But there's that strange, eerie humming kind of thing in parts of it that I just cannot explain. Before the investigation, the audio was fine on the cameras. After the investigation, the audio was fine on the cameras. For some reason, during the investigation, it went a little wonky, and I don't quite understand why. But the Victorville investigation that he's getting ready to talk about here in a minute, that is the one that had the Phantom Hat Man picture, which is very interesting as well. It's kind of crazy that both of these we're talking about tonight had shadow people there. And that's not something that we have run into a whole lot before on these investigations on the West Coast. Usually you don't see that there. At least not on the hunts that we're going on. So it's kind of a cool thing that they both have that element in it. So I'm going to throw back over to Old Boy again, and I'd like him to tell you about the most recent Victorville investigation they did and that picture of what looks to be the Phantom Hat Man.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Well, what I'll do is I'll talk about that, and then I'll talk about, we went actually a little over a month ago too. When we went over a month ago, JC was attacked pretty much where we were almost at. This time we took pictures at a different area of the Victorville Memorial Cemetery. Pretty much every time we go to Victorville, there's something goes on. We've been there probably about 50 times. I have, or more. It's the most common and the closest place to go, but there's always something going on, and it's a pretty decent sized cemetery, guys. I took the picture of the Shadow Man. I was there. I took a picture. It was no one there, and there you see it. You saw the picture. Then I looked at it, and I'm like, oh gosh, there is a picture of the Shadow Man, or the Hat Man. So I circled it and sent it to James. There's another picture I took where it looks like a skull, but it's like a weird looking skull, and there's like what would you say, flashes of light in there, and I sent that too. I don't know what that was. A couple other pictures were taken were pretty much the same thing. There's like, you could see there's like outlines of smoke coming out of the ground or some kind of shadow person. There's a video that was taken where you could see there's something, a white little orb, you would say, flying around. I sent him that too. And one of the girls who came there, it's new, took video too, and I put it on there. And every time I would move my camera, it would be gone. But I go back to record, it would take it off. It was weird. And my camera would move, and there was the orb. But if I go to record it, it would hurry up and just disappear for purpose, like it knew what I was doing. And another thing is what happened this time, and it's happened before, the cameras were fully charged. They would die. We had this problem the whole night. We had to cut it short there this last Saturday when we went because of that, because the batteries would die. We had a different camera guy because our camera guy who got attacked he's having things at his house, so he couldn't show up. He had prior engagements, important things going on, and so we had a new camera guy. He had the same problem. They did not want to get photographed or video camera this night. And every picture you see with me, almost except one or two, our faces are blurry. And then my friend would take a picture and it wouldn't. But like, there's a picture of me giving, a peace sign. My fingers are gone, but my whole body's there. It made no sense. And then we took a picture with my friend's wife who's on the investigation, and there was something standing there by us. And there was something in the middle of me and our medium, JC. There's a picture of me like bending down because my back hurts a lot. I have sciatica problems. So sometimes I'm walking around for hours and my back starts getting to me. So I'm bent over and you can see me, and you'll see something like an orb right there. We had a lot of stuff happening this time. It said James's name, said my name. It doesn't like me or James Hershey. It said Daryl's name from Shadows Mafia. It doesn't like JC. It didn't like JC's wife. It trying to go after both of our wives because they can't go after me or JC. So they go after our wives because they think they're weaker, but they're pretty well into this now. So the new girl I had, Tiffany, they said when she came up, how many people there? There's 7, so she counted. There were 7 people. They knew she was coming. They were already talking about it. So when she came there, they said they didn't like her, and she thought it was funny because she's never really only done this like one other time, so she's new. So she got a kick out of it, and she said she was offended because they said they didn't want her there. They didn't want us there. They talked a bunch of trash the whole night. They kept messing with everything with the cameras. The cameras would just be fully charged and then they would die. We had to mess around with those twice. Every time we would go in this area, then we went into the mausoleum, and we actually took the voice recorder, and that's another thing that hasn't been sent to you. You have to remind our guy who was in our show to do it, because when we were recording, you would hear me talking, and then you would hear somebody like whispering, and there was no one around but us two inside this mausoleum. I'm probably messing up the word, but you could hear, I said, is somebody there? And then somebody says something, and you could hear quiet, because you hear the stupid trains. You're going to hear a train all the time because it's right by the railroad. I can't do nothing about that. That's trains, and it's by a highway. So you're going to hear some noise sometimes, but you can hear something say something back, and you can hear whispering, like they were having a conversation, but it was in a different language. That's what we got. And I forgot about that. Forgot to tell you that we actually did and that's just audio. We did a couple sessions of that. So I have him send that to James so we can upload that somehow and you guys can listen to that. So that's another treat I forgot about Victorville, is we did some audio with the video recorder and got some stuff on it. And it was really interesting. I forgot to tell you, James, so I'm glad I remembered that, so you guys will be able to enjoy that part too. That's some more. So we had that issue. and then we went home about an hour. We were there about an hour and a half. We weren't there too late this time because I had stuff I had to do, and it was getting late because I have to work the next day, so I had to get some of the stuff hurried up and done. So that's why I did what I did. About a month ago we went out there too, and we went to this different area, and we got a lot of pictures. I got the picture of the dragon there. It looks like a dragon. James put that on there as a page too. And JC, our medium, who's a Christian, was attacked, and it took off his cross. So we have that footage. We'll probably mix it together. So it would probably make a good episode, but you'll only see there's two different things, but it's the same place, so it's not going to really make a difference. So you'll see what's going on at both places. This is one of the most haunted places I've been to. This place I could feel right when I get there, they're watching us. They know who we are. James has never even been there. It doesn't like him. It's had arguments with James over the phone, like he says. Most of the time, the reason we don't call James is because it's after 9, 10 o'clock, and James, it's 1 o'clock. He's at East time. He's sleeping, and sometimes he'll go because he likes that cemetery, so he'll get it in. With Redlands, we got there a little later because the earthquakes had hit in California that time, where we had the big 7.0 or 7.6.9, whatever it was. So we had to go. We went after that because everybody had to calm down. So I think James was on the phone a little bit, but then we had to go, and it got late, so he wasn't able to finish. But most of the time he'll call and see what's going on, or he'll say a prayer for everyone to protect everyone. But sometimes these demons or ghosts or whatever, fallen angels, shadow people, they'll call James out while he's on the phone. They'll call me out. They said his name. They said me. They talk a lot of trash. And it's kind of funny because every time we call them back out, they don't want a piece of us. They just want, I think, to get things started with. They just want to attack people who believe in God. And that's what I see, because most of these things say they're demons. And there's more than one, or they're the Wraith. And I think I actually got a picture of the Wraith that night. And that thing's nasty looking. And unless you know what you're doing, you don't really want to be wobbling around these cemeteries by yourself. I don't like even doing it, but I will do it. But if I was you, don't ever go by yourself anywhere. I don't care how tough you want to seem and how, oh yeah, I could do it. Go by yourself. Even with two people, it's not a good idea. You want to at least have one, or I've gone with one myself. I've gone with just one, the cameraman. But you got to realize, you have to watch these things because they can turn you against each other. I've seen it, my own eyes. So you want more than one person there. Like me, I usually go with a group of 5, sometimes 7, just in case. Just if some people want, their girlfriends want to come, or wife wants to come along, so I just tell them, hey, we're going to be on the investigation. Please be quiet. Well, sometimes they get attacked. That's why I have a rule. I don't want anybody under the age of 18 out. I don't care if your parents allow you or not. I don't want anybody. I want them to be 18 years old. Because then, unless it's my daughter, and my daughter's was 17 and a half. So it was, but my daughter, let me tell you something. I'll tell you a story about this, and then we'll get back. My daughter is like me. My daughter went to, I don't know, remember, was it almost a year ago? I went there twice now. Gobar Ranch, where there's a demon there, and people have sacrificed and killed and murdered, and Satanism stuff happens there all the time. My daughter went there playing in the middle of the day with her friend like it was no big deal. And then I went back, and I'm like, she's already been here. Because we went on a ghost event, a venture with a friend she had. That's when I first did one of my first ever investigations. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was that place. And it didn't bother her. I took her before to Victorville. It doesn't bother her. She just doesn't care. It's like me. It doesn't bother me. We're so used to stuff around us that it doesn't bother me no more. Like, I don't have dreams. It doesn't, like, it used to worry me, but now I just laugh about it because it's just a part of the trade. When you're dealing with demons, ghosts, goblins, whatever I'm dealing with, they're coming home with you. It doesn't matter what you try to do. Like, you could use sage, it helps. And you didn't do your prayers, but stuff still can attach to other people. So we deal with it all the time. My girlfriend every night almost has dreams about something, or touches in with something, or something talks to her, or she can smell something. I can just feel negative energy or good energy from people or things that are around. I could tell there's something watching me when there is. That's fine. I've been dealing with that since I was a kid. And I think James has too. See, James is very attuned to this stuff. He's always had stuff watching him, and he's had things happen, and he's always been into cryptozoology just like me. But with Ghost, it's a different story. You're not killing something flesh and blood, you're killing something you can't kill. You're going after something you can't kill. You can't kill a demon, you can't kill a ghost, you can't do anything to them. You can rebuke them and get them, send them away, but you can't fight them. It isn't like you can go pull out a gun and it's going to do anything. You know, it's going to go right through them. It's not going to matter. You can't kill supernatural with weapons. People need to. That's why I think it's funny. I've seen people going with their guns like that's going to do something. It's what the hell is that going to do? It's going to do nothing. These things will get you out. That's why I'm saying when I go to this cemetery, I don't like to take new people there because I don't want something to attach to them. Because I think because I think it's happened before with numerous people they used to go with and stuff. So they know now not to go to that cemetery because I think they thought it was a cool place to do training. And come to find out, that was like one of the worst places to do it because there's so much stuff going on there. There's a lot of bad energy there. There's some good. Don't get me wrong. We've had some really good conversations with a couple people, like a couple regular spirits. Sorry, I wouldn't say people anymore. Sorry, and they were good. But they're most of the time it's always something lurking around and always has to start trouble. And it doesn't like JC. It doesn't like me. It doesn't like James. It always says some bad language and foul crap, and it always says it's 2 or 3, 4 different demons. It always says, for some reason, Beelzebub or Paimon or Satan. And that's it. Those are the top 3. And for some reason, I don't know, Beelzebub might be at the cemetery or something that's pretending to be him. Because he likes to come up a lot. And he talks a lot. And it's really eerie sometimes because the thing you can hear, okay, the Indigo app, what it does, it makes it sound like children are talking, but you'll hear like demons' voices and stuff behind and the kids will be scared to be talking because they're spirits that talk to us and they're trying to warn us what's going on there. And then you can hear in the footage me arguing with this demon in the background, and you could tell the difference of the voice. But demons like to pretend they're kids, remember that, or dolls, or little children. So you got to watch out when you hear that because it could be a demon tricking you and trying to get you to go by yourself. What it does and what I've noticed, what happens with certain people, they'll start wandering. And that's why I'll tell them, nope, do not go by yourself because that's what it wants to do. So it can get you alone and jump into your body or do something bad or make you do something to yourself. It can make you kill yourself, just to let you guys know that. These things can do that. They want to see you hurt. They want to see you suffer. There's some people it doesn't because they want you around for other reasons. But like I said, be careful what you ask for because a lot of these people who are doing these ghost shows don't know what they're doing anymore. They're messing with certain things they don't. And then to sit there and go, and I saw, we had a comment on there, oh, I've been doing this for 30 years, and every time you get touched by a demon, or everybody thinks a ghost, it's a demon. Well, like I said, do you actually watch the video? Do you got no response? Because usually people just running their mouths. Like always, they don't watch anything or know what the real story is, and they just blab on everything because they think they can because they're protected. It's Facebook, so they can say whatever they want. And that's what happens. We got so used to it, we don't even care. I go to these things to learn knowledge, to find out what the hell these things are. And they talk to us. So it's not like I'm lying. You see, like I said, they talk to us, have full-blown conversations. Some of it's good and some of it's really dark and demented. They tell us to go kill ourselves. I'm an ass. They call me an ass sometimes. And worse words I can't even say on here. And they're pretty foul. So we deal with a lot of nasty stuff when we go to that cemetery. Man, I wish James would go there one time, and I think he will, because the things challenged him numerous times. I think it's the Wraith, but there's a demon now that wants to challenge James all the time, and me. So it would be wonderful he can go out there, because he gets to see all these. In Redlands, I'll take him there one night too. That's the craziest place I've been, other than Victorville. Because I've been to a lot of places, and most places that you feel the spirits are there, but not the stuff that happens at these places. These places have some good stuff that happens, and it's always arguing with us. Always something wants to argue with us all the time, or try to get you to, or make us try to get sick. And I've seen that people drop from that place because the people would just get attacked right then, but they get sick or knocked like they're drunk. That's what they do. They're taking your energy. Of course, that's going to happen. And I was thinking, here's a new theory about shadow people. I think they feed off of human energy. That's why they come around and they'll try to steal it from you, because I think that's what they do. They steal our energy. And some of these demons do too. And I thought about that's what I think. They think they drain our essence and all our good out of us, and then we start thinking bad, and they replace it with bad energy. If you guys can understand that. So I love going to Victorville. I just go there so much I get bored of it. But I actually been going again, because a lot of these places we go to are far away. Like, we're going to try to go to the brothel house that burned down, I think in the 40s or 50s, I forget. We went there and there was a lot of activity. We're going to try to go again on Friday the 13th. And this December is going to be Friday the 13th, so we're going to go out there at night, probably after 9. So I don't know if we'll call James. Maybe we'll, because he's seen pictures of that place. We took pictures like about a month ago and went there in the day, and it was very interesting. We saw something. It's in the main house. It kept messing around, and I have pictures of stuff. We put them up of things standing there, and there's something there. So next time we'll go at night with a real action. I heard they got one team that went out there, Shadows Pit. Before I started, they said they went out there and they got attacked with rocks. Something was throwing rocks at them, and they got chased out of there. So I want to go at night to see if this happens. That would be very interesting to see what these demons do, or ghost, whatever is there. So the next one we're going to go to. But there you go, James. That's all I got to say about Victorville.
Your theory on shadow people feeding on energy. I think you might be partially right on that theory, and I'll explain that. I think it might be very possible that shadow people do feed on energy, because we did a show on shadow people a long time ago. I think it was called like The Complete Guide to Shadow People or something like that. It's on the channel. You can go check it out. It's got a ton of information. In that show, I kind of broke down all the different types of shadow people. And I'm not going to rehash all of that information right now, but one of the types of shadow people are always found at the site of tragedies. They'll show up a little bit before the tragedy happens. There'll be a lot of sightings of them. And then whatever horrible thing is going to happens, a mass killing or some kind of natural disaster or something like that kills a bunch of people. And they'll hang out a couple days after as well and then disappear. And the theory there is that they're there to feed on the negative emotions, on the sorrow, on the tragedy, on the death, on that energy, that negative energy. And I think that might apply to all shadow people. I think shadow people feeding on energy is a viable theory, but I think that it's negative energy they're feeding on. I think what happens is they cause you to feel the negative energies. They cause you to be in a bad mood. They cause you to feel hatred and sorrow and all these horrible things. They kind of make that happen so that they can feed off that energy. I think that's what it is. I don't think that they're feeding on your good energy and stealing your light, and that's why all of a sudden you're feeling bad. I think they're causing you to feel bad so that you will produce the kind of energy that they want to feed on. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. As far as demons go, people need to understand about demons. They are very dangerous. And I know that's kind of a no-brainer kind of statement to make. But like a low-level demon is an absolute pain in the ass. A low-level demon will mess with you It will confuse you. It will make you sick. It will cause problems in your life. It's a pain in the ass. A high level demon, which I believe there are several high level demons at Victorville. This is a next level kind of place. This is not your go on the weekend with your friends and play with the Parker Brothers Ouija board and ooh, let's get a little scare. That's not what this place is. This place is next level. This is you're risking your life going there kind of place. With a high level demon, all the same things apply as with a low level demon. They can do all those things. But also, they can cause you to either kill yourself, to turn on somebody you're with and try to kill them, attack them. They can cause massive disease and stuff like that that'll actually take you out. Where a low level demon usually is just a pain in the ass, they can be dangerous. They are dangerous, but they're usually not lethal. A higher level demon is lethal. That thing will kill you. Now, it's not going to manifest in front of you like in a horror movie and rip you to shreds like Wolverine, but it will absolutely cause you to become extremely sick to where you have to be hospitalized and your life is in danger. It can cause you to have a car accident on the way home and die that way. It can cause people to attack you, not just people in your group, but maybe somebody who's just in the area. It can influence that person to come into the cemetery where you are and attack you and try to kill you. I've seen it happen. That's what you're dealing with a higher level demon, as far as what it can do to you. They're no joke. These are nasty, nasty creatures. Then when you look at what do you do about it, Old Boy mentioned you can't kill a demon. That's absolutely true. You're not going to kill him. So how do you deal with him? What do you do to stop a demon? Well, you need to have somebody who is capable of performing exorcisms with you. Somebody that knows the religious rites, that can do the proper things to get rid of these things. With a low-level demon, it's doable. You can go in there, you can do an exorcism, you can even, if it gets to the point where you have to, you can consecrate the ground like you would with a church. You can cleanse that area. You might get it on the first shot. It might take a couple times to get rid of this thing. But it's doable. It's absolutely doable. Higher level demons are a whole different ball game. You still attack them the same way. You're still going to do exorcisms. You're still going to try to consecrate the ground. You're still going to do the same things that you would do with a lower level demon. The difference is the high level demon is way, way stronger. And it's almost impossible to get rid of. If it doesn't want to leave, it's very difficult to remove a high level demon. It might take dozens or hundreds of different exorcisms to finally get this thing to go. Because all you're doing is weakening it a little bit each time until finally you get it to go away. Because with a low level demon, it's not as simple as just like you'll see on TV or the movies. They'll read one little thing and then boof, the demon's gone. That's not how it works in reality. In real life, it takes a lot of hours of work to get this done. You've got to go and you've got to interview the people that are having the problem. You've got to figure out if it is a demon or not. You've got to do your homework with the spirit box and communicate with this thing and find out what it is, what's going on. Once you have a pretty good idea of what you're dealing with, then you have to attack that thing depending on what it is. If it's a ghost, or if it's a demon, or if it's something flesh and blood, there's different ways to deal with it. So if you're dealing with something demonic, then you go in there and you have to try to figure out if it's an attachment, a possession, if it's attached to the home, if it's attached to individual members of the home, or even animals in the home. Once you determine all of that, then you have to start working on the exorcisms and the cleansing rites and trying to get the thing to leave. That takes time. And it could take multiple times of going there and doing it over and over again to get it to finally leave, because you got to weaken it first. But it's doable with a low-level demon. High level, way, way harder, because it's way stronger. It can be done. I'm not going to say it can't be done, but it's way harder and it's way more dangerous. You are literally risking your own safety and your own life anytime you deal with a demon. But with a high level demon, there's a much higher chance that you're not going to come home from that. It's a lot more dangerous. And you don't only have to worry about yourself, you have to worry about your team, you have to worry about your family, because you got to make sure these things don't follow you home. And that's very hard to do. You have to make sure that you say the correct prayers. You have to make sure that you do all the right things to make sure that these things don't follow you. And then sometimes you're still going to have problems if you're dealing with a high-level demon. Very, very difficult to deal with. Now, at Victorville, there's all kinds of stuff going on there. At Victorville, you've got multiple high-level demons. You've got multiple wraiths. You've got multiple shadow people. You've got a whole lot of pissed-off spirits. And then you've got some spirits that are trying to be helpful and to warn you and explain what's going on, because I believe those spirits are probably getting tortured by all these other terrible things that are there. So it's a whole big mess going on at that cemetery. It's extremely dangerous. One thing about our teams, we are not your average team. We're not the kind of people that just go and try to get an EVP, and we might get one voice in the background that is all mumbled and kind of goes, and we say, oh, look, it said umbrella or whatever. That's not what we do. When we go to a place, we're going to get evidence. We have real evidence. We capture the stuff on camera in the form of photographs. We capture it on video. We have actual conversations that are being had with these things on the spirit box. Not just barely understandable words, but clear, concise conversations that we're capturing with these things. And we put that evidence in these episodes for you to see on the YouTube channel. The reason we're able to capture such good evidence is, one, we know what we're doing, and two, we go to places that are next level kind of places like Victorville. These aren't your average haunts. These aren't your weekend warrior kind of places. These are places that you have to really know what you're doing when you go there, because it is extremely dangerous. So that's one thing I would warn against anybody. And whenever we do one of these kind of shows where we talk about our investigations or our hunts, we always do the warning of be careful, make sure you know what you're doing, get with people that have knowledge and have experience in the field. Don't just go out there on your own. All those kind of warnings that we give every time. And I'm sure that we will repeat those warnings ad nauseum in this episode probably as well, because it's kind of the responsible thing to do. But one thing that I want to stress is kind of a message for everybody that works in the paranormal. And that is, you can't get too hung up on the people that don't believe, because there's always going to be those people, no matter what you do. I could produce a video with 0 cuts where a demon or a ghost comes walking up to the camera in full view, has a conversation while it's physically manifested in front of you, tells you things that nobody would ever know. Just 100% proof, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And there's still going to be people that aren't going to believe it. That's just the nature of the beast. You're dealing with things that most people in society don't believe are real. So that's going to come with it. You have to expect that. So don't get upset by that. Don't let that dissuade you from your work. What we try to do, and what I think everybody should try to do that's in this field, just capture the best evidence you possibly can, and then present that evidence so that people can see it for themselves. Because that's really the only way to turn a skeptic into a believer, is to prove it to them, to show them the evidence, for them to see it with their own eyes, hear it with their own ears, and know that it's real. Because almost every one of us that does this, at one point in our life, we thought, this isn't real. It's cool. We like it. It's interesting, but it's a bunch of BS. I know at one point in my life, that's what I believed. When I was young and I would go to the libraries and study all these different creatures and monsters and mythological creatures and all this stuff, I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen or heard or read or heard about. But I didn't believe that it actually existed. I thought it was fairy tales. I thought it was tall tales. I thought it was legends. I thought it was a primitive people's way of explaining things they did not understand. Because that's what you're taught. That's what society tells you to believe. That's what teachers teach you. But when I started going to powwows and stuff to try to learn more about my history and my people, because I have many different kinds of blood in me. I have many different kinds of blood in my body. I have Irish blood, I have Scottish blood, I have English blood, I have German blood, and I have Native American blood. And when I found out about that part of my family, the native part of my family, I was intrigued. I had always been fascinated by the native culture, and I love Tales of the Wild West, and I just love that era. And when I found out that my family had native blood in it, I wanted to learn more. And so I started going to these powwows that were held in a way to try to do my own little bit of real life research and talk to the actual native people that are full-blooded Native American, and to learn more about that part of my heritage. Well, while I was there, I learned a great deal of very, very interesting things. And I hooked up with a group of guys that were into the paranormal and actually hunted a lot of these things that I had read about. And I began talking to them, and they would tell me how they actually went after these things. Now, this didn't happen right away. I hung out with them for quite a while and learned quite a bit from them before they confided in me and let me know about what they were doing. And even then, when they told me that, I still did not believe it. I thought, oh, that's cool, that's funny, but I don't really believe that in my heart. I mean, this is all make believe. And then they asked me if I wanted to join them one night. And I thought, hell yeah, this is going to be great, I didn't expect that we'd actually see anything or hear anything, or I didn't expect for my entire belief system of these things being make-believe to be shattered. But that's exactly what happened. The things that I saw and the things that I witnessed while I was out with these guys on multiple occasions, because it became a regular thing. I went with them a lot. And that's where I learned a hell of a lot about the paranormal. That's where I learned a hell of a lot about a lot of the creatures and the monsters and the things that we talk about on these shows. I learned from those men. They taught me a great deal. I wish that I could go into way more detail with you about some of the things that we did and some of the things that they taught me. But unfortunately, I just can't. And I know that's very convenient. And I know it sounds like an excuse or whatever, but I just literally can't, because they asked me not to talk about it. I can't get into the specifics. I can't tell you who they were. I can't tell you, what they hunted and where they did it. I just can't. But that's where I learned that all of this stuff that I thought was make-believe is actually real. Now, there's still some of it that's make-believe. Not everything is real. But a lot more of these creatures are real than I ever thought were real. But I came from a place where I was a skeptic as well. I was a scientist. I believed in what I could prove. And I didn't think there was any proof for this stuff. But I learned that there is. But the only way to convince me of that was to show me. I had to see it before I believed it. And now I believe it because I have seen it. And ever since those days, I have been doing this. I have been hunting myself. I have been working cases with the team here on the East Coast. Old Boy's got the team on the West Coast. I've been working cases by myself before I had the team here on the East Coast. So the only way you're going to convince people that do not believe is by showing them, the same way those gentlemen showed me. Now, we're not going to be able to take all of you out on hunts, but we can provide you with the evidence. We can give you photographs. We can give you the audio. We can give you video. We can do these shows, and you can see for yourself that this stuff is absolutely real. Now, even, as I said, if you have the absolute perfect bit of evidence, there's still going to be people that don't believe, and that's okay. Don't let that bother you. You're not going to change some people's minds, and fighting with them and arguing with them and calling them names is not going to help. Just stay in your lane. Keep your nose to the grindstone. Keep working. Keep getting evidence. Keep putting it out there, because it makes a difference. The more people that we can wake up to what is actually out there, the better off we're going to be. The more people that know the truth, the better off it is for everybody. Because you don't know what people are going to do. You might have somewhere out there in the audience, there might be a guy or a kid or a little girl who watches one of your shows, listens to one of the radio shows, checks out one of the smaller clip videos, and sees a bit of evidence that changes the way they think about these things. And they might go on later in life because of that moment where their eyes were opened. They might go later on in life and be the one person that actually blows the lid off this whole thing and proves to everybody that all of these things are real. You really don't know. Now, I'm a spiritual man. I'm a follower of Christ. I believe in God. I believe that God does everything for a reason. I believe that we are all called to do certain things in our lives. There are things that each one of you listening can do better than anybody else on the planet. And that thing is going to be the thing that you love the most too. And that's what God is calling you to do. So just trust in Him, trust in yourself, and do what you're made to do. And you will be great at it. So with that being said, we're almost out of time. So I'm going to throw back over to Old Boy and get his final sum up and then his shout outs.
I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. Had a lot of interesting stuff that happened in Victorville. We always do. Just like in Redlands, we had a lot of great stuff happen. Had a lot of crazy stuff happen and people getting attacked. And hopefully, I hate that happening because it happens all the time. But I want you guys to know we do this for you. I love doing this for you guys. Thank you for listening to the show on Parax Radio. Radio. It's and the YouTube channel. If you guys want to see find out and watch our other episodes for James Hershey Jr., just subscribe and you'll see it. Or you want to buy some like shirts, blankets, all kinds of other stuff, merchandise. He'll tell you where to go there to get all that. Just to let you guys know, when we're messing with these things, we are very careful because they can come back with you, and they have. They can follow you home or follow other people, and bad things will happen, trust me. So that being said, I hope everybody has a good night. Misfits, sugar ladies, monster lovers, and demon hunters. I love you. Have a great night, and blessed be.
The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where you can find all the episodes of Staring, all the episodes of Tales, the TV show, and a bunch of other paranormal clips. Please go there and subscribe to the channel and check out the videos. It's 100% free and there's hundreds of them there for you. The merchandise store is teespring.com/stores/staringintotheabyss. That's TEESPRING.com/stores with an S on the end /staring into the abyss. That's where all the merch is. There's t-shirts, there's hoodies, there's posters, there's coffee mugs, there's just all kinds of stuff. Blankets, everything. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, the link to the merch store is down in the description box. So just go on down there and that's where you can find it. If you want merch, that's where you can get it at. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support that you guys give us. And on the YouTube channel, when I put the replay of this show up, I will put the photograph that we got from the Victorville investigation of the Phantom Hat Man. I will make that the thumbnail for the video, and I will put that as the background for the video as well. So that when you're listening to the show, you can be looking at that photograph so you can see it for yourself and really have a good amount of time to check it out. So thank you guys once again for all the support that you give us. And until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.